Is Ezekiel's vision of the chariot in the Bible proof of a UFO? Erich von Däniken is convinced it was an extraterrestrial spacecraft. Scientists remain skeptical among the many stories in the Bible about strange and otherworldly events. The account of the prophet Ezekiel is one of the most fascinating, especially when viewed through the lens of modern technology. This perspective gives rise to an intriguing possibility that our ancient ancestors may actually have been visited by an advanced race, rather than by gods. Ezekiel perceived the chariot as a spacecraft used by advanced beings to traverse space and establish contact. Erich von Däniken is one of the strongest proponents of this theory, offering arguments for an alternative interpretation of the book of Ezekiel. Chariots of the Gods by Erich von Däniken. In the 1970s, Erich von Däniken was invited to a secret meeting at NASA, where he met Joseph F. Blumrich. The two discussed von Däniken's ancient astronaut theory from his book Chariots of the Gods. Its central claim is that Ezekiel's vision was more akin to a space shuttle than a divine chariot. Blumrich initially found this idea absurd and set out to disprove von Däniken. He conducted his own research and began writing a book, but the evidence, in his view, proved compelling, and Blumrich changed his mind. Ezekiel, he concluded, undoubtedly described an advanced spacecraft. Ezekiel and his vision. Ezekiel is a key figure in Judaism and appears in many biblical texts connected to Abrahamic tradition. He spent his early life in Jerusalem, but later became one of the Israelite captives taken to Babylon in 597 BC, along with King Jehoiachin and 10,000 other prominent Israelites. He is described as a prophet. One notable feature of the book of Ezekiel is that it is written in the first person. Scholars believe Ezekiel himself was the author. Most biblical texts, by contrast, are written in the third person. The flying chariot with wheels, for I looked, and behold, a whirlwind came out of the north, a great cloud with raging fire, and brightness around it, and out of the midst thereof as the color of glowing metal, out of the midst of the fire. 5 also out of the midst thereof came the likeness of 4 living creatures, and this was their appearance. They had the likeness of a man. 6 and every one had 4 faces, and every one had 4 wings. 7 and their feet were straight feet, and the sole of their feet was like the sole of a calf's foot, and they sparkled like the color of burnished bronze. 8 and they had the hands of a man under their wings on their 4 sides, and they 4 had their faces and their wings, thus 9. Their wings were joined one to another. They turned not when they went every one straight forward. Ezekiel 1. Ezekiel describes seeing a chariot with wheels descending toward him from the sky, operated by beings with a human likeness. While many biblical versions describe the being on the chariot as God, von Däniken points out that the original Hebrew text never mentions God. The word was added later. Ezekiel's description of the landing of the wheeled chariot sounds very much like that of a spacecraft landing. The windstorm, flashes of lightning, and brilliant lights resemble the descent of a complex technological craft. Ezekiel's vision. and the biblical illustration of the Merkaba. There is an evident discrepancy between this description and how Ezekiel's vision is depicted in much biblical art. Paintings often omit details such as the fire, the wheels that rotate in all directions, and the vaulted crystal dome enveloping the heads of the humanoid beings. The four living creatures, 15. Now as I beheld the living creatures, behold one wheel upon the earth by the living creatures, with its four faces. 16. The appearance of the wheels and their workmanship was like the color of a beryl, and the four had one likeness. And their appearance and their workmanship was as it were a wheel within a wheel. 17. When they went in their four directions. They turned not when they went. 18. As for their rims, they were high and terrible, and their rims were full of eyes round about them four. 19. And when the living creatures went, the wheels went beside them, and when the living creatures were lifted up from the earth, the wheels were lifted up. 20. Whithersoever the Spirit was to go, they went, thither was their spirit to go, and the wheels were lifted up beside them, for the spirit of the living creature was in the wheels. 21. When those went, these went, and when those stood, these stood, and when those were lifted up from the earth, the wheels were lifted up beside them, for the spirit of the living creature was in the wheels. 22. And over the heads of the living creatures there was the likeness of a firmament, like the color of a terrible crystal, stretched forth over their heads above. Ezekiel 1. Many consider the four beings to be cherubim or angelic entities, especially prominent in ancient Jewish Genesis 3:24 and Christian Exodus 25:120 texts. Some hypotheses suggest that these beings, with their human likeness, were extraterrestrials who took Ezekiel aboard their unidentified flying object, UFO, transporting him to a temple atop the highest mountain. During the flight, Ezekiel mentions feeling the hand of God upon him, something that could be interpreted as the force of gravity or G-forces experienced during liftoff. He is taken to the temple of these beings, which may have been a base or city where they lived. Evidence in several biblical stories, the Ark of the Covenant is presented as an artifact of interest to von Däniken's theory. However, it is the mention in the Kebra-Nagast, an account of Christianity in Ethiopia during the reign of King Solomon, where, according to von Däniken, the truth emerges. He claims the document reveals that King Solomon possessed flying machines not mentioned in the Bible, and that he also owned the coveted ark. These ancient writings note that people feared the ark because it often killed those who came into close contact with it. Could this have occurred because the artifact was radioactive or electrically charged? Was the ark a plutonium reactor? Erich von Däniken argues that other biblical verses also fit his ancient astronaut theory, including some that hint at similar temples or spacecraft landing zones strongly resembling what Ezekiel described. One such temple, known as Chavan de Hoentar, is located in Peru, high in the mountains, an area about which little is known. The temple is decorated with winged figures and carved heads that appear to be wearing helmets. von Däniken says they share the same origin as those described by Ezekiel in the Bible.
Wir saßen still auf unserem Hügel, der Himmel weit, die Nacht so klar. Und jeder Stern erzählte leise, dass noch ein Wunsch im Herzen war. Die Welt schien schwer in diesen Tagen, so viel was müde macht und zieht. Doch in der Stille neben dir spür ich, wie neues Licht geschieht. Es ist Zeit für ein Wunder, für ein Leuchten, das uns ruft, für ein Funkeln in der Ferne, das die Seele wieder sucht. Es ist Zeit für ein Wunder, für ein Atmen ohne Last, für das Kind in meiner Seele, das das Staunen nie verlernt hat. Du sagtest still, ich hab's gespürt, irgendwo wartet mehr auf uns. Ein Wort, ein Traum, ein kleines Feuer, ein Anfang leise und ganz bunt. Vielleicht beginnt ein Wunder dann, wenn wir dem Leben wieder trauen, wenn wir die Dinge, die wir fürchten, mit neuen Augen anschauen. Es ist Zeit für ein Wunder, für ein Leuchten, das uns ruft, für ein Funkeln in der Ferne, das die Seele wieder sucht. Es ist Zeit für ein Wunder, für ein Atmen ohne Last, für das Kind in meiner Seele, das das Staunen nie verlernt hat. Manchmal sind Wunderschritte, die keiner außer uns versteht. Ein Lächeln, das sich wieder zeigt, ein Mut, der still entsteht. Vielleicht ist jedes Wunder ein Stück von uns, das Neue wacht, wenn wir im Dunkeln weitergehen und trotzdem an das Morgen glauben. Die Sterne über uns erzählten, dass jeder Weg ein Anfang ist, dass selbst im leisen, tiefen Zweifel ein Funken Hoffnung bei uns ist. Und irgendwo in all den Träumen blüht etwas auf, das niemand sieht. Doch wer der Nacht sein Herz anvertraut, wird finden, was im Dunkeln blüht. Es ist Zeit für ein Wunder, für ein Licht, das sich entfacht, für ein Strahlen, das uns findet in der tiefsten stillen Nacht. Es ist Zeit für ein Wunder, für das Herz, das wieder lacht, denn in uns lebt das Versprechen, dass das Leben neu in uns erwacht. Manchmal beginnt das größte Wunder mit dem Mut, wieder zu hoffen.